We can figure that out without the TV, that's fine. All right, good morning, Israel. Actually, I think that's too broad a stroke. Good morning, MTOI. Because we're not just Israel, we're Messianic and we're Torah observant Israel. Amen. Right, covenanted Israel. Amen. Okay, so I want to thank the 5 of you that showed up this morning and ready for this. Some people still think they're on vacation. If we're going to start like this, we'll have 5 of you really at the last day after the attrition rate here. All right. Listen, I'm the most night person of all of you, and I was here at 9 o'clock this morning to get ready, so you can be here, okay? You can be here. Of course, some of you are thinking, then why are you starting late? Because there's 50 other things that grabbed my attention on the way in here from the registration area, but you know, okay. All right, this is very exciting. This is one of my favorite parts, if not my favorite part of the whole feast. We begin the reading of the book of Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy. Okay? Now, before we do that, I do want to just go over a couple of things, just reminders. These are announcements for the feast and for today, and just to remind everybody a few things that are going on. Of course, if the people are not here, hopefully they're watching on the stream and they can keep up on that. Okay? But just a reminder that today is our picnic day, okay? So, yay, 2 people were excited. Well, that's half of you. Okay. All right, so half the group was excited. Okay. So today is our family day picnic. It's over at Chester Frost Park. Okay, we'll have the information for you. We do not have the table set up with the offering box or with the Chester Frost stuff. So we'll have to make sure that somebody gets that from our... Okay, get it. Okay, that should be over here. We should have the table with the box. Actually, they can't get the box because I have it locked up. Okay, well, if you need to make an offering, there is a box up by... No, there isn't. All right, never mind. You'll just have to wait. It shows you how important that is to us. We're totally unprepared to let you give us any money. Okay? That's right, no Sunday offerings. There you go. So we're not doing any Sunday offerings. Well played, George. You've been hanging out with me too much. Okay. It's already rubbing off on you. All right, so just a reminder about the picnic. So we're going to be, it's about a 45-minute drive. I apologize for that. Bring all whatever it is you're going to want to eat. There may be some grills there that you can use. I would recommend just picking up stuff that's already made, maybe picking up some sandwiches or whatever, burger. But just stop anywhere, pick up some food that you want to eat at the picnic. It's really about hanging out and fellowshipping. Okay, we have a few people that are going to go in the water. We're not going to probably do that till almost 2:30, almost 3 o'clock, which is good because that'll be the hottest time of the day. It'll be about 72 at that point, okay? So I know it's cold now, but the temperature is going to go up pretty quickly here in the next hour or two, all right? And so, you know, I don't know the water may not get any warmer, but the air at least will be a little warmer, okay? So we'll get that worked out. Okay, so that's going to take up most of our day. We're also doing the Pidgeon haben, excuse me, the redeeming of the firstborn for those who want to do that. Okay, and we had the coins for that over at the marketplace, so you're certainly welcome for that. We may be able to bring a few with us in case anybody makes their mind up at the last minute. All right? Okay. I think that's going to cover it for that. Then we're going to have a dinner break after. So there is no lunch break today. The picnic is the lunch. Okay, then we'll have a dinner break after the picnic. You go out and do whatever you need to do. We're not serving anything here. And then if you want to come back here, those of you, 8 or 9 of you that want to come, we'll have a Midrash. It might be a private counseling session, depending on how many of you show up at 9 o'clock. Some of you wanted one-on-one time. Come at 9 o'clock. You might get it. Okay. Okay, and that should do it. Do not be concerned about my health. If my voice starts going, I actually have vocal issues that will affect me during the feast. I'm trying to keep it well hydrated and hot teas and that kind of stuff, but don't let the sound of my voice make you think I'm getting under the weather. That's just my normal overuse of voice problem, okay? Just, unfortunately, it used to be at Sukkot, by the last day, I was like this, and I was trying to talk, and that was about all you could get. Right? I've learned to do a little better. All right, let's see. George, you said you had a few things.
Actually,
Okay? You can grab that one. Come over here so you're not in front of a speaker. Yeah, that's probably fine, just as long as you're not in line with the speaker too much.
So our fantastic volunteer coordinator, Stephanie Meyer, was up into the wee hours of the morning and would probably slept an hour or two, maybe. Slacker, right? Slacker. And then was up again this morning and posted a lot of shifts that are now available on Deputy. So you can actually go on to the Deputy app and look to see if there's something that suits you, janitorial, kitchen needs, and you can actually select your shift, and it's available to you. So for those who've been asking, I want to volunteer more, well, here's your chance. For those who haven't, here's an opportunity to finally go ahead and volunteer. So I think that's correct. So, with 400 plus folks here, technology is our friend. So if you are not digitally savvy, please go ahead and see Stephanie, and she can help you through that. So, all right. And if you have password issues, see Rabbi. Oh, no, that's a bad idea. Okay. That's it.
I can give you all the proper expletives to say, because I have a lot of experience. I can't fix your problem, but I can help you enjoy it the most you can. All right, George. Actually, if you go in my office, the small box is actually on the round table. So they can bring that stuff and set it up over here. All right? So, all right. Look, we talk about people having those issues that, keep popping up so you can have your fun and joy. Password sign-ins are mine. Even if I have the right password and do it right, it won't work until the third time or so. And I'm like, I just typed it in that way. Now it works. And Hasatan's sitting there going, that was easy. Okay. Right. Beep, boop, boop, beep. Why is my password not working? Because of that. Whatever that is, that's why. Okay. What are we going to do? The what? The group photo. We were planning to try to do it if people are wearing their shirts and stuff at the picnic. Okay? It'll probably be, we could do it probably before, I don't know. We have to make sure everybody can get over there first. So we're just going to try and kind of get the word around and see how many people make it. It won't be the whole, not everybody's going to end up going there. So hopefully most people will. We'll try to take a picture. The way we set this tent up, there really isn't an easy way to put everybody in front of the tent and take a picture. It's just really hard to set up, because otherwise you get the fence. We'll get that fence in the picture. So we didn't really think that through. Maybe we'll try to do something on the other property, get everybody over there. We'll take a picture. I'll have to think this through maybe later in the week. And during one of the property tour times, we'll just say, hey, everybody after lunch, come meet over at the new property, and we'll take a beautiful picture there. And maybe that'll work out, okay? Yes, we're planning to use the drone for that, yes. Norma's all like, either that's a drone or she's planning to conduct. I don't know, all right. We have a process for this. Those of you should know it's the same process that we do on Tuesday nights when we do our Torah time. And so we're going to have readers for this. I have 11 readers. I tried to make the readings a little bit longer so we wouldn't have 37 of them, and then it would take a lot longer for all the blessings in between, etc. So we have 11 readings for today. We're going to go from Deuteronomy chapter 1 through chapter 5. So we're going to read 5 chapters today, okay? Deuteronomy chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to ask for, how many seats we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so we're going to go ahead and fill these chairs up. So we're going to go ahead and get people to come on up. Leave the first seat open. I told Dennis he could have the first one. Just be real careful of wires and stuff as you come up to sit. Okay, Michelle, you wanted to read too? And Rabbi Tom, so that's 2 people. Okay, that's my 11 right there, just about. Okay, so we got 8 plus you two. I need one more. All right. All right. Okay, I got 2 more chairs. Wait, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many chairs are there? Okay. Okay, you who wanted the last chair, you can have it because we have one more spot after they're done. So as soon as that one chair opens up, you can come on up. And then I've got the two other people will be Michelle and Rabbi Tom. Perfect. Okay? That'll work. We got our 11. Well, that was easy. Sometimes I'm begging people to come up and get in the chair, so that worked out. Okay. All right, so the way this works is I've got a large print scriptures up here. You can read from this or read from whatever you have in your hand. I don't care which one you read from, but this is here if you want it. I will go ahead and call you up one at a time. If I don't remember your name, please forgive me. I'll ask you your name. If you look at me like, but I've known you for 8 years, it's okay. I may have a brain freeze and just not remember your name. Okay, that happens sometimes. All right? So don't be embarrassed. I will, but you don't have to be. I'm 87% red. We don't do embarrassed. Okay, so anyway, but I may act that way just so you'll laugh. Okay, so that's the yellow part. So I'll call you up. We'll say a brief blessing over each of you as you come up. I'll tell you what verses you're going to read, where you're going to start, where you're going to finish, and that should work out. Now, for all the rest of you that are out there online, if you're here, I recommend highly that you have a pen or paper or a phone or some way to take notes, because you may want to reference a verse that you have a question about or a verse that you want to make a comment about, because we are going to do a discussion of what we just read when we finish reading today's portions, okay? And so we're going to have that time. So go ahead and take notes. I'm going to be doing the same thing you are. I've got my blank paper here. Well, it's got the list of the readings, but I don't have any notes. I'm going to take notes just like every year I do with you. And so I get fresh notes, fresh thoughts each time. Okay? I know some of you are thinking, don't be fresh with me, but I'm going to have fresh notes and some fresh thoughts. I've been accused of more. Okay, so we ready? All right. Actually, why don't we do something? Where's the other mic? Mandy, grab the mic. Okay, now open us in prayer. Hold on. We got to get the camera on here. It doesn't work, huh? If the light's on, it's on. It's a different setup.
Okay. Abba, Father, I thank you for allowing us here one more day to praise you, to worship you, to come before you as broken people, hurting, but obedient in everything. Abba, allow us to build character and integrity that we need to get us through life, to get to you. Abba, thank you for your Torah. Thank you for everything that you tell us. Thank you for everything that you give us. Allow us to be open to everything you need to tell us, to reveal to us what we need for our life, for our strength, for anything that we need to do to make you proud. Thank you for this time with the family. Thank you for those that are here this morning ready to receive your word. Father, I can't thank you enough for this family, for this ministry, for this teacher. I ask that you bless everybody here, allow us to take what we need to take today, and allow us to enjoy this day in obedience as a family, ready to serve. In Yeshua's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Only other thing also, I will adjust the height of the mic for you. It'll be easier than just passing it off and that kind of thing. Okay, Dennis, come up, be first. And so all of you be warned, next time I ask you to grab a mic, you never know. I may ask you to... I got him that time. You should have known better. I've done that so many times. Actually, I've done them to you. Only once? No, I've gotten Kurt a bunch of times. All right, here we go. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Dennis, who's come up to honor Yahweh and the Torah. May the set-apart one bless him and his family and send blessing and prosperity on all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay, you're going to take us now and read verses 1 through 23. Chapter 1, Deuteronomy, verses 1 through 23.
All right, here we go. These are the words which Moshe spoke to all Israel beyond the Jordan in the wilderness, in the desert plain opposite Suf, between Paran and Tophel, and Laban and Hisaroth and Dizohab. 11 days' journey from Horeb to the way of Mount Seir to Kadesh Barnea. And it came to be in the 40th year, in the 11th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, that Moshe spoke to all the children of Israel according to all that Yahweh had commanded him concerning them. After he had stricken Sihon, sovereign of Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, and Og, sovereign of Bashan, who dwelt at Heshtaroth in Edrei. Beyond the Jordan in the land of Moab, Moshe undertook to declare this Torah, saying, Yahweh our Elohim spoke to us in Horeb, saying, You have dwelt long enough at this mountain. Turn and set out on your way and go into the mountains of the Amorites, and to all the neighboring places in the desert plain, in the mountains and in the low country, and in the Negeb, and on the sea coast to the land of the Canaanites, and to Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates. See, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Jacob, to give to them and their seed after them. And I spoke to you at that time, saying, I am unable to bear you by myself. Yahweh your Elohim has increased you, and see, you are today as numerous as the stars of the heavens. Yahweh Elohim of your fathers is going to add to you 1,000 times more than you are, and bless you as he has spoken to you. How do I bear your pressure and your burden and your strife by myself? Choose men wise and understanding and known to your tribes, and let me appoint them as your heads. And you answered me and said, This word which you have spoken to us to do is good. And I took the heads of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, leaders of thousands, and leaders of hundreds, and leaders of 50s, and leaders of 10s, and officers for your tribes. And I commended your judges at that time, saying, When hearing between your brothers, judge it righteously between a man and his brother, or the stranger who is with him. Do not show partiality in right ruling. Hear the small as well as the great. Do not be afraid of anyone's face, for the right ruling belongs to Elohim. And the case which is too hard for you, bring it to me, and I shall hear it. And I commended you at all the time, all the words which you should do. Then we set out from Horeb and went through all the great and awesome wilderness which you saw on the way to the mountains of the Amorites, as Yahweh our Elohim had commanded us. And we came to Kadesh Barnea. And I said to you, You have come to the mountains of the Amorites, which Yahweh our Elohim is giving us. See, Yahweh your Elohim has set the land before you. Go up and possess it. As Yahweh Elohim of your fathers has spoken to you, do not fear, nor be discouraged. And all of you came near to me and said, Let us send men before us, and let them search out the land for us, and bring back word to us of the way by which we should go up, and of the cities into where we would come. And the matter was good in my eyes, so I took 12 of your men, one man from each tribe.
There's a problem here. Okay. For the vertically challenged. Okay. Him, not me. Okay, so I never bang my head going down a basement staircase. Just saying. Okay. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Paul, who's come up to, Pete, who's come up to.
I'm still discovering my identity.
He's discovering his identity, he said. I tell the jokes around here. Okay, anyway. This is good, because now everybody at home is going to be going, why wasn't I there? This looks like so much fun. And it is. All right, so what did you say, Paul? Okay, go ahead. All right. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Peter's come up to honor Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family and send blessing and prosperity on all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay, you're going to take us now from verse 24 to the end of chapter 1.
Arise, set out and pass. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. Take 2. Okay. We're here all week. And they turned and went up into the mountains and came to the Wadi Eshcol and spied it out. And they took some of the fruit of the land in their hands and brought it down to us. And they brought back word to us, saying, The land which Yahweh our Elohim is giving us is good. But you would not go up and rebelled against the mouth of Yahweh your Elohim. and grumbled in your tents and said, because Yahweh was hating us, he has brought us out of the land of Mitzrayim to give us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us. Where are we going to? Our brothers have made our hearts melt, saying, the people are greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to the heavens, and we saw the sons of the Anakim there too. Then I said to you, have no dread or fear of them. Yahweh, your Elohim, who is going before you, he does fight for you, according to all he did for you in Mitzrayim, before your eyes. And in the wilderness, where you saw how Yahweh, your Elohim, has borne you, as a man bears his son, in all the way that you went up until you came to this place. Yet in this matter you are putting no trust in Yahweh, your Elohim, who is going before you in the way to seek out a place for you to pitch your tents, to show you the way you should go, in fire by night and in a cloud by day. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words, and was wroth, and took an oath, saying, not one of these men of this evil generation shall see that good land of which I swore to give to your fathers, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He shall see it, and to him and his children I give the land on which he walked, because he followed Yahweh completely. And Yahweh was enraged with me for your sake, saying, you do not go into there either. Yehoshua, son of Nun, who stands before you, he shall go in there. Strengthen him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit. And your little ones and your children, who you say are for a prey, who today have no knowledge of good and evil, they are going in there. And to them I give it, and they are to possess it. But you turn and take your journey into the wilderness by the way of the Sea of Reeds. Then you answered and said to me, we have sinned against Yahweh. We ourselves are going up, and we shall fight as Yahweh our Elohim commanded us. And when each one of you had girded on his battle gear, you were ready to go up into the mountain. And Yahweh said to me, say to them, do not go up nor fight, for I am not in your midst, lest you be smitten before your enemies. So I spoke to you, but you would not listen, and rebelled against the mouth of Yahweh, and acted proudly, and went up into the mountain. Then the Amorites who dwelt in that mountain came out against you and chased you as bees do, and drove you back from Seir to Hormah. And you returned and wept before Yahweh, but Yahweh would not listen to your voice, nor give ear to you. So you dwelt in Kadesh many days, according to the days that you dwelt.
Amen. And by the way, when I called you Paul the second time, I was just repeating myself. Repeating. Okay, never mind. I had to wait all that time just to make that bad joke. It was just a repeat. Okay. I'll keep saying it till you get it. Okay. You might as well laugh now. It actually doesn't get any better. Okay, just warning you in advance, it really doesn't. Okay? All right, he who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Kip, who's come up down to Yahweh in the Torah. Almost called him Paul. Everybody will just be Paul. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Kip, who's come up down to Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family and send blessing and prosperity on all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay, take us now into chapter 2, and I left my paper over there. All right, chapter 2, 1 to 18.
Then we turned and set out into the wilderness, the way of the Sea of Reeds, as Yahweh spoke to me, and we went round Mount Seir many days. And Yahweh spoke to me, saying, you have gone around this mountain long enough, turn northward, and command the people, saying, you are about to pass over into the border of your brothers, the descendants of Esau, who live in Seir, and they are afraid of you, so be on your guard. Do not strive with them, for I do not give you any of their land. No, not so much as one footstep, because I have given Mount Seir to Esau as a possession. What food you buy from them with silver you shall eat, and also what water you buy from them with silver you shall drink. For Yahweh your Elohim has blessed you in all the work of your hand. He has known your wandering through this great wilderness. These 40 years Yahweh your Elohim has been with you. You have not lacked any matter. And when we passed beyond our brothers, the descendants of Esau who dwell in Seir, away from the way of the desert plain, away from Elath and Etzon Geber, we turned and passed over by way of the wilderness of Moab. And Yahweh said to me, do not distress Moab, nor stir yourself up against them in battle, for I do not give you any of their land as a possession, because I have given Ar to the descendants of Lot as a possession. The Emites who dwelt there formerly, a people as great and numerous and tall as the Anakim, they were also reckoned as Rephaites, like the Anakim, but the Moabites called them Emites. And the Horites formerly dwelt in Seir, but the descendants of Esau dispossessed them and destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their place, as Israel did to the land of their possession, which Yahweh gave them. Now rise up and pass over the Wadi Zered. So we passed over the Wadi Zered, and the time we took to come from Kadesh Barnea until we passed over the Wadi Zered was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of battle was consumed from the midst of the camp, as Yahweh had sworn to them. And also the hand of Yahweh was against them, to destroy them from the midst of the camp until they were consumed. And it came to be, when all the men of battle had finally perished from among the people, that Yahweh spoke to me, saying, this day you are to pass over at Ar, the boundary of Moab.
All right, amen, amen. Okay, Mercy. You blessed, huh? Oh, she said she's Paul. All right, Mercy, also known as Paul. Or Paul, known as Mercy. Mercy, he who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Mercy, who's come up down to Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless her and her family and send blessing and prosperity in all the works of her hands. Amen. Okay, Mercy is going to take us now from verse 19 of chapter 2 to the end of the chapter.
And when you come near the children of Ammon, do not distress them, nor stir yourself up against them. For I do not give you any of the land of the children of Ammon as a possession, because I have given it to the descendants of Lot as a possession. That was also reckoned as a land of the Rephites. Rephites formerly dwelt there, but the Ammonites call them Zamzumiam, a people as great and numerous and tall as the Anakim. But Yahweh destroyed them before them, and they dispossessed them and dwelt in their place, as he had done for the descendants of Esau, who dwelt in Seir, when he destroyed the Horites from before them. They dispossessed them and dwelt in their place even to this day. And the Awanim, who dwelt in villages as far as Azah, and the Kaporim, who came from Kaptor, destroyed them and dwelt in their place. Arise, set out and pass over the Wadi Arnon. See, I have given you into their hand Sihon, the Amorite, sovereign of Heshbon and his land. Begin to possess it and stir up yourself against him in battle. This day I begin to put the dread and fear of you upon the peoples under all the heavens, who when they hear the report of you shall tremble and shake because of you. Then I sent messengers from the wilderness of Kedemosh to Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, with words of peace, saying, let me pass over through your land on the highway. I shall go on the highway and turn neither to the right nor to the left. What food you sell me for silver I shall eat, and what water you give me for silver I shall drink. Only let me pass over on foot as the descendants of Esau who dwelt in Seir, and the Moabites who dwelt in Ar did for me, until I pass over the Yarden to the land Yahweh our Elohim is giving us. But Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, would not let us pass over, for Yahweh your Elohim hardened his spirit and strengthened his heart, to give him into your hand as it is this day. And Yahweh said to me, see, I have begun to give Sihon and his land over to you. Begin to possess, in order to possess his land. And Sihon and all his people came out against us to fight at Yahatz. And Yahweh our Elohim gave him over to us. So we struck him and his sons and all his people. And we took all his cities at that time, and we put the men, women, and little ones of every city under the ban. We left none remaining. Only the livestock we took as plunder for ourselves, and the spoil of the cities which we captured. From Ar, which is on the edge of the Wadi Arnon, and the city that is by the Wadi, as far as Gilad, there was not one city too high for us. Yahweh our Elohim gave all to us. Only you did not go near the land of the children of Ammon, anywhere along the Wadi Yabok, or to the cities of the mountains, or anywhere as Yahweh our Elohim commanded us.
Amen. Amen. So she went with Pauletta, just to kind of mess with me. And I actually was believing her for half a second there. All right. Heather. That was well played. Awesome. You guys are on notice. I know Greg's already got something, but the rest of you, I don't know. All right, here we go. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Heather, who's come up down to Yahweh in the Torah. May the set-apart one bless her and her family and send blessing and prosperity on all the works of her hands. Amen. Okay, Heather's going to take us now from, I almost said Pauletta. Heather's going to take us now in chapter 3 and read verses 1 through 15.
Okay. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan. And Og, sovereign of Bashan, came out against us, he and all his people, to the battle at Edrei. And Jehovah said to me, do not fear him, for I have given him and all his people and his land into your hand. And you shall do to him as you did to Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, who dwelt at Heshbon. So Jehovah our Elohim also gave into our hands Og, sovereign of Bashan, with all his people, and we struck him until he had no survivors remaining. And we captured all his cities at the time. There was not a city which we did not take from them, 60 cities, all the district of Argob, the reign of Og in Bashan. All the cities were fenced with high walls, gates, and bars, besides a great many unwalled towns. And we put them under the ban as we did to Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, putting the men, the women, and the children of every city under the ban. But all the livestock and the spoil of the cities we took as booty for ourselves. And at the time, we took the land from the hand of the two sovereigns of the Amorites. They were beyond the Jordan, from the Wadi Arnon to Mount Hermon. Sidonians call Hermon Sirion, and the Amorites call it Senir. All the cities of the plain, all Gilead and all Bashan, as far as Salcah and Edrei, cities of the reign of Og in Bashan. For only Og, sovereign of Bashan, was left of the remnant of the Rephaites. See, his bedstead was an iron bedstead. It is not in Reba of the children of, 11. For all Og, sovereign of Bashan, was left of the remnants of the Rephaites. See, his bedstead was an iron bedstead. Is it not in Reba of the children of Armon? 9 cubits is its length, and 4 cubits its width, according to the cubit of a man. And this land which we possessed at the time from Aror, which is by the Wadi Arnon, and half the mountains of Gilead and its cities, I gave to the Reubenites and the Gadites. And the rest of Gilead and all Bashan, the reign of Og, I gave to the half-tribe of Manasseh, all the district of Argob, with all Bashan, called the land of the Rephaites. Yair, son of Manasseh, had taken all the district of Argob as far as the border of the Geshurites, and the Maacathites, and called them after his own name, the Bashan Ahawoth, Yair, to this day. And Machir I gave to Gilead.
Amen. Excellent job. Those names are tough. If you're not sure how to pronounce a name, just say Paul. Okay. It works for me. All right. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Greg, who's come up to honor Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family and send blessing and prosperity in all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay, you're going to take us now from verse 16 to the end of chapter 3.
And to the Reubenites and the Gadites I give from Gilead, as far as the Wadi Arnon, the middle of the Wadi as the border, as far as the Wadi Yabok, the border of the children of Ammon, and the desert plain with the Yarden as the border, from Kinnereth as far as the sea of the Arba, the salt sea, below the slope of Pisgah on the east. And I commanded you at that time, saying, Yahweh your Elohim has given you this land to possess. All you sons of might pass over armed before your brothers, the children of Israel, but let your wives and your little ones and your livestock, I know you have much livestock, stay in your cities which I have given you, until Yahweh has given rest to your brothers as to you, and they also possess the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving them beyond the Yarden. Then you shall return, each man to his possession which I have given you. And I commanded Yehoshua at that time, saying, your eyes have seen all that Yahweh your Elohim has done to these two sovereigns. Yahweh does the same to all the reigns which you are passing over. Do not fear them, for Yahweh your Elohim himself fights for you. And I pleaded with Yahweh at that time, saying, O Master Yahweh, you have begun to show your servant your greatness, your strong hand, for who is a mighty one in the heavens or on earth who does according to your works and according to your might? I pray, let me pass over and see the good land beyond the Yarden, this good hill country and Lebanon. But Yahweh was enraged with me for your sake and would not listen to me. And Yahweh said to me, enough of that. Speak no more to me about this matter. Go up to the top of Pisgah and lift up your eyes westward and northward and southward and eastward, and look with your eyes, for you do not pass over this Yarden. But command Yehoshua and strengthen him and make him brave, for he shall pass over before this people and cause them to inherit the land which you see. And we dwelt in the valley opposite Beth Peor.
I get to stand here first. She's ready to go for the microphone. And I do know your name. Okay. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Ati, who's come up to honor Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless her and her family and send blessing and prosperity in all the works of her hands. Amen. Okay, you're taking us now to chapter 4. I'm going to read verses 1 through 14.
And now, O Israel, listen to the laws of the right rulings which I am teaching you to do, so that you live and shall go in and possess the land which Yahweh Elohim, your fathers, is giving you. Do not add to the word which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of Yahweh, your Elohim, which I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did at Baal Peor, for Yahweh, your Elohim, has destroyed from your midst all the people who followed Baal Peor. But you who are clinging to Yahweh, your Elohim, are alive today, every one of you. See, I have taught you laws and right rulings, as Yahweh my Elohim commanded me to do, thus in the land which you go to possess. And you shall guard and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding before the eyes of the peoples who all hear these laws, and they shall say, Only a wise and understanding people is this great nation. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it, as Yahweh our Elohim is to us, whenever we call on him? And what great nation is there that has such laws and righteous right rulings like all this Torah which I set before you this day? Only guard yourself and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words of your eyes which have seen, unless they turn. Only guard yourself and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words which your eyes have seen, unless they turn aside from your heart all the days of your life. And you shall make them known to your children and your grandchildren. The day when you stood before Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb, Yahweh said to me, assemble the people to me, and I make them hear my words, so that they learn to fear me all the days they live on the earth, and teach them to their children. And you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire, and the heart of the heavens, darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yahweh spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard a voice of words, but saw no form. You only heard a voice. And he made known to you his covenant, which he commanded you to do, the 10 words, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at the time to teach you your laws and right rulings, for you to do them in the land which you pass over to possess.
Amen. Amen. Okay, thank you. Okay, next up. And you are Ray. Okay, good. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Ray, who has come up to honor Yahweh in the Torah. May the set-apart one bless him and his family and send blessing and prosperity on all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay, Ray's going to take us now from verse 15 to the end of chapter 4. There, or you can use yours.
I'll use mine. Okay. And where am I stopping? Where am I going to?
You're going to the end of the chapter, so you don't have to worry about it. 15 to the end of the chapter.
Therefore, diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form when Yahweh spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you do corruptly and shall make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged creature that flies in the heavens, the likeness of any creature that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the sea. Unless you lift up your eyes to the heavens and see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the host of the heavens, and you be drawn away into bowing down to them or serving them, which Yahweh your Elohim has allotted to all the people under the heavens. But Yahweh has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Mitzrayim, to be his people, an inheritance, as it is today. And Yahweh was enraged with me because of your words, and swore that I would not pass over the Yarden, and that I would not enter the good land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving to you as an inheritance. For I am to die in this land. I am not passing over the Yarden, but you are passing over and shall possess that good land. Guard yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which he made with you, and shall make for yourself a carved image in any form, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you. For Yahweh your Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous El. When you bring forth children and grandchildren, and shall grow in the land, and shall do corruptly, and make carved image in the form of whatever, and shall do what is evil in the eyes of Yahweh your Elohim to provoke him, I shall call the heavens and earth to witness against you on that day, that you soon completely perish from this land which you pass over the Yarden to possess. You do not prolong your days in it, but are completely destroyed. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the peoples, and you shall be left few in number among the nations where Yahweh drives you. And there you shall serve mighty ones, the work of men's hands, wood, stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. But from there you shall seek Yahweh your Elohim, and you shall find, when you search for him with all your heart and with all your being, in your distress, when all these words shall come upon you in the latter days, then you shall return to Yahweh your Elohim, and you shall obey his voice.
One more verse. I'm going to stop you at 31.
For Yahweh your Elohim is a compassionate El. He does not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them.
Amen. All right. And you are Bob. There we go. That's easy. He who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Bob, who's come up to honor Yahweh in the Torah. May the set apart one bless him and his family, send blessing and prosperity in all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay. Now I got my notes right. You're going to take us from verse 32 to the end of the chapter. So now we got it right. 4:32 to the end of the chapter.
For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that Elohim created a man on the earth, and ask from one end of the heavens to the other ends of the heaven, which whether there has been a word as great as this, or has ever heard like it. Has a people heard the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as he has heard, and live? Or has Elohim tried and take for himself a nation from the midst of a nation by trials, and by signs, and by wonders, and by battle, and by strong hand, and an outstretched arm, and by great fearsome deeds, according to all that Yahovah your Elohim did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes? You have been shown it to know that Yahovah himself is Elohim. There is no one beside him. From the heavens he let you hear his voice to instruct you, and on the earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his word out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought you out of Mitzrayim with his presence and his great power, to drive out before you nations greater and stronger than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance, as it is today. And you shall know today, and shall recall to your heart, that Yahovah himself is Elohim in the heavens above, and on the earth beneath. There is none else. And you shall guard his laws and his commands, which I command you today, so that it is well with you and with all your children after you, so that you prolong your days in the soil which Yahovah your Elohim is giving you for all time. Then Moshe separated 3 cities beyond the Yarden towards the rising of the sun, for a manslayer to flee there, he who unknowingly murdered his neighbor without having hated him in the past, and might flee to one of these cities and live. Besser in the wilderness in the level land of the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Menashites. And it is the Torah which Moshe set before the children of Israel. Therefore, these are the witnesses and the laws and right rulings which Moshe spoke to the children of Israel after they came out of Mitzrayim. Beyond the Yarden, in the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sion, sovereign of the Amorites, who dwell at Heshbon, and Moshe, the children of the Israelites, had stricken after they came out of Mitzrayim. And they took possession of this land, and the land of Og, sovereign of Bashan, 2 sovereigns of the Amorites who were beyond the Yarden, toward the rising of the sun, and Aor, which is on the bank of the Wadi Arnon, to Mount Sion, which is Hermon, and all the desert plain beyond Yarden, as far as the Sea of Arabah, beyond the slopes of Pisgah.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and have Michelle's going to read, and then Rabbi Tom. All right, he who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Michelle, who's come up to honor Yahweh in the Torah. May the set-apart one bless her and her family and send blessing and prosperity in all the works of her hands. Amen. Okay, you're going to take us now to chapter 5 and read 1 through 15. 1 through 15.
And Moshe called all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the laws and right rulings which I speak in your hearing today, and you shall learn them and guard to do them. Yahweh our Elohim made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yahweh did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who are here today, all of us who are alive. Yahweh spoke with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahweh and you at that time to declare to you the word of Yahweh. For you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up the mountain, saying, I am Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them nor serve them. For I, Yahweh your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing loving kindness to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commands. You do not bring the name of Yahweh your Elohim to naught, for Yahweh does not leave him unpunished who brings his name to naught. Guard the Sabbath day to set it apart, as Yahweh your Elohim commanded you. 6 days you labor and shall do all your work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your Elohim. You do not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your sojourner which is within your gates, so that your male servant and your female servant rest as you do. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahweh your Elohim brought you out from there by a strong hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore, Yahweh your Elohim commanded you to perform the Sabbath day.
Amen. Amen. Okay, bring it over to Rabbi Tom. All right, he who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless Rabbi Tom, who's come up to honor Yahweh in the Torah. May the set-apart one bless him and his family and send blessing and prosperity on all the works of his hands. Amen. Okay, you're going to take us now from verse 16 to the end of the chapter.
Respect your father and your mother, as Yahweh, your Elohim, has commanded you, so that your days are prolonged, and so that it is well with you on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. You do not murder, you do not commit adultery, you do not steal, you do not bear false witness against your neighbor. You do not covet your neighbor's wife, you do not desire your neighbor's house, his field, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. These words Yahweh spoke to all your assembly in the mountain, from the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, with a loud voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And it came to be, when you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, that you came near to me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and said, See, Yahweh our Elohim has shown us his esteem and his greatness, and we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. Today we have seen that Elohim speaks with man, and he lives. And now why should we die? For this great fire is consuming us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh or Elohim anymore, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking from the midst of the fire as we have and does live? And you go near and hear all that Yahweh or Elohim says, and speak to us all that Yahweh or Elohim says to you, and we shall hear and do it. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words when you spoke to me, and Yahweh said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you. They have done well in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart in them to fear me and to guard my commands always, so that it might be well with them, and with their children forever. Go, say to them, return to your tents. But you stand here by me, and let me speak to you all the commands and the laws and the right rulings which you are to teach them. And they shall do them in the land which I am giving them to possess. And you shall guard to do as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Walk in all the ways which Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, so that you shall live and it shall be well with you, and you shall prolong your days in the land which you possess.
Amen. Amen. Hold on, I'm just writing a couple of more notes here real quickly.
Got a little light on down here.
Amen. Hold on.
Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry.
All right, I forgot to bring up the blessing with me for the after blessing here, so I got that. All right, thank you all the readers. Excellent job by everyone. There's just nothing like hearing the word read, especially by your brothers and sisters who come up to read. The traditional blessing after the readings, Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu Baruch atah Yahweh noten haTorah. Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh our Elohim, King of the universe, who has given us a Torah of truth and has planted eternal life in our midst. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah. Amen. Amen. We think about the difference between a Christian mindset and a Jewish mindset, and that a Christian mindset, the law is bad, done away with, nailed to the cross, whatever. And a Jew is, after reading a blessing, saying, blessed are you, giver of the Torah. Okay? And then connecting eternal life in our midst to the Torah in our midst. Amen? What a fabulous thing. Okay. So now this is the time when we go ahead and have our discussion of the Torah portion. And so we'll have microphones to go around. So let's see, who do I have to carry around the mics? Okay, I got Gary. That's one. Oh, you're running over to the problem. So, okay, so Gary is not number one. All right, Kurt's got one. Pete, you want the other one? Pete, also known as Paul? Ah. I always like at least one of the guys with the mic to be well armed. Okay, so. All right, so Pete, why don't you stay on this side and we'll look for hands that are going up on this side of the room. So anybody on this side wants to ask a question. If you're on live stream, Mr. Rob Wyatt is getting their questions on the live stream desk. Do you need Kurt's help over there or you got it under control? Okay, good. All right, so Kurt's going to give everybody over on this side. Okay, so here are the ground rules for the Midrash, or the discussion of the Torah portion. We do have ground rules. Number one, our ground rule is that we would like to be looking for and focusing primarily on that which you can use in part of your transforming and conforming into His image. That which you can apply in your life. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have questions about that which is just confusing or interesting that you kind of always wanted to know. But I really want you to focus mostly on the majors, not the minors. Okay? So no, we're not going to discuss the Rephaim and the Nephilim and any other thing that might have been mentioned in here that gets everybody all excited, because that's of no use to you whatsoever. Okay? Oh, but you're all obsessed and curious about it. I get that, but it doesn't answer any question you need to walk in your daily walk. All right? So we're not going to worry about that. Although we will mention the fact that when you look at Og's bed, we're talking about a thing that was like 15 feet long. Okay? So it's, how big a person needs a bed that big? Okay, he's a pretty big guy. All right, now, ground rule number two, we will like to try to take things so we have a contextual understanding in somewhat of a chronological order. So let's try to start in chapter 1. This is not a hard and fast rule, but we'll go as much as we can from chapter 1 through chapter 5, and we'll kind of cover that in that order. And then when it comes to, I don't know how I want to word this. This came up one of the first times we ever did this at Sukkot. No problem sharing your opinion as long as we first can agree what the verse actually does or doesn't say. Okay, because all of us should be tired of people teaching opinion as fact. Can we all agree? All right. So, a verse may say something, and then you have an opinion as to what it may mean. Or you have a question about what it means, or I may share an opinion about what I think it means, and that's to be understood as like, this is what it actually says. But since it doesn't give us enough detail necessarily, we're kind of forced now to figure out what does it mean or how should it apply. Now we have to admit that it doesn't say it, but we're having to see what level of inference is there or reference is there or what it's pointing towards. Amen? Okay? Very important that we do that. Okay, who's going to get us started? Okay, right there, Shaqua's got her hand up. You're walking right by her. Okay, go ahead.
For chapter 1, I was wondering if you could comment on verses 9 and 12. If I have the correct understanding, just want to thank you for what you do, answering the call, and may I not cause pressure, burden, and strife for you.
Amen. I cannot even imagine, 2 to 3 million, and Moses had to deal with all that. Even with the guys that he put in place, I can't even imagine, More people, more issues, and more vocal about the issues because there's strength in numbers. So if you're in a small group and there's only you, that's a squeaky wheel, not so, easy for you to grab a lot of other people to be on board with you. Out of a large group, easy for the squeaky wheels to find each other and squeak, 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 right? So not a problem. But yeah, so this is really an appreciative thing that for me to say. I appreciate that Shaquez pointed out because, it took a little bit for Moses, who I believe was a very, we do the color code, very red. I'm going to get it done. I can handle it. I'll get it all done. To recognize that, no, I need to share the burden. Okay, this is just too much for one person. And so, of course, notice that here is something that, we can see is that Moses was willing to hear and listen to someone's counsel because he wasn't figuring it out for himself. So his father-in-law, who, this is important. Okay, this is really good that you brought up. Where did the correction and counsel come from? Anybody or someone who had a relationship in a somewhat of an authority relationship of respect for an authority or an older, right, his father-in-law. You see, if you're going to give correction, if you're going to give counsel, it should come out of relationship. Some just average, everyday other Israelite did not walk over to Moses and say, hey, what's wrong with you? Don't you know you can't handle all this? But this was his father-in-law. There wasn't many people in the camp that he would have respected as an elder at this point. So Yahweh allowed and used his father-in-law to get his attention. Okay, so correction came out of relationship. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, did you have any other question about that? No, okay, but I appreciate the point. Who's next on this side? Okay, Rabbi Tom?
All right, thank you. Since 9 and 12 was brought up, I think you'd agree that a lot of the problems that do arise could be avoided if people would understand what it is to be in subjection. And as you said, if you're asked to do something that you want to do, and you do it, that's not being in subjection. But if you're asked to do something that you don't want to do or do a different way than you're used to, and then you do it the way you're asked to do it, that's being in subjection.
Amen. Amen. Okay, a lot of times this is really a tough concept, the idea of submission. I do apologize. I'm sucking on a lozenge. It's good for my throat. It'll help. It'll maintain my voice through the week. Okay, so the idea is that we often think that we are being submissive because we're doing whatever the authority person has decided to be done. But if you're agreeing with them, that's not submission. It's agreement. It's still good that you're doing it, but you're agreeing. Because I've had counsel sessions with husbands and wives where the wife may say, the husband may say, well, you don't submit. And she says, I submit all the time. Turns out when she agrees. But that's not submission. Okay? Submission takes trust. Submission takes a secure, safe trust. Now, that's why husbands, if your wives aren't submitting, you've not provided them with the safe trust to some degree. Okay? It also could be they just never learned how to submit from watching their parents or anybody else. So it may not be completely your fault, but I'm saying it's a combination. But ladies are going to have a hard time submitting if they don't feel safe and can trust that. See, it's not just trusting you to be right. It's trusting that if it's wrong, you'll fix it. Okay? That it's okay if it goes wrong because you have it under control. And that's the whole idea of submission. See, submitting to Yahweh should not be a problem ever because we should not only trust him, but we know he can fix everything. This is emunah, right? He's fully in charge. Everything he causes or allows, which means that nothing happens that he goes, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. Okay? He doesn't get surprised by anything. So he's already prepared how he's going to handle whatever happens. And so, men, if we can do that for our wives and our children, we may get a little bit more submission. Keep demonstrating and reminding them, it's okay, I can take care of it. Well, what if it goes bad? What if it doesn't work? What if it breaks? It's okay, I can handle it. All right? But what I need you to do, okay, this is an important thing, I guess, that we understand with Yahweh and then with each other. If you're in a position of authority, Yahweh's the highest authority. Are you safe if you're not submitted to him? No. Okay? I taught my children, and you can still go up to them and test them, they'll still pass the test, and ask them, what's your father's job? Now, they might just say rabbi at this point, but they'll say, to keep us safe. That's what I trained them when they were little. I said to them, what's my job? Keep us safe. I said to my son, what's your job? Keep my sister safe. Okay, I put that in their heads when they were little. Even though it was not going to come up when they were little, but I'm hoping now as teenagers, if he sees something going on, he'll think I'm supposed to keep her safe. Okay? Now also that helped me when I went to the mall and I told the children, if you go where I can't see you, you're not safe. You want me to be able to do my job, don't you? Instead of me telling them, don't you just go running around. So they said, well, how do we know if you can see us? I said, if you can't see me, I can't see you. So if you turn around and you can't see me, you're not safe. They got nervous with that when they were little. And they stayed where we could see them. And so submission's the same thing. When you don't submit to Yah, you're not safe. Because all of his instructions, we tell you, right, they bless you and they keep you safe. Husbands need to create that environment for their wives and for their whole family, for their children. If you don't submit, you're not safe. But what if you mess up? That's okay. I've got it under control. I've got it covered. Everybody will always be safe. But if you don't allow your husband to make a few mistakes and learn how to do the role the best he can, he's not going to be perfect at it without making mistakes. Nobody has ever existed except Yeshua and the Father that could do things and not mess it up. We learn from our mistakes. So now you need to believe in him and say, I believe in you that you can be the one that keeps us safe, that you can handle all these things. Then some of the wives are like, you don't know my husband. Well, then why'd you marry him? Well, I'm not making a joke there. Why would you marry somebody you're not going to believe in? Believe in him. Okay? Encourage him and say, I know you can do this. I know you're going to mess it up a little bit, but I know you can figure it out and eventually you'll get it. You can do this. So that's a really good comment to understand that submission is a part of safety. It's not about well, you just want to be in charge and you want to boss me around. You want to just have your way. No, I'm trying to keep you safe. I'm trying to bless you. All leadership roles are the same as the Torah. What's the Torah? The Torah is an authority, the highest authority. Yeshua is the embodiment of Torah, highest authority. The Father gave the Torah as the highest authority. And all authorities are supposed to do the same three things: bless you, keep you safe, and help you transform into his image. Whether that's me in a leadership role, whether it's a husband in a leadership role, whether it's a mother to the children in a leadership role, all of us are trying to keep them safe, bless them, and help them transform. Now, if you believe that, you should be able to submit. Of course, if you don't believe that, you're going to struggle. Well, but he can't. Don't worry what he can't. He's never going to get there if you don't believe in him. So your job, women, is to believe in them. Not even just quietly. Go over to them, tell them, look, I know you want to do this, and I know you've struggled at it. I'm not picking on you, but I believe in you. I know you can do this. And I'm going to stand by you while you struggle. And I'm going to encourage you that you can do it. And ladies, if you've been doing it and he's supposed to, give it back to him and say, I'm giving it back to you. And I know you're not used to it, not ready for it, but I'm going to believe in you. And believe me, you're going to struggle because you used to do it and he's supposed to do it. So you're going to have a out of balance shift for a little bit where it was being done relatively well by you and probably poorly by him until he figures it out. But you need to get that thing back in order. Get things back in the right vertical alignment. It'll take a couple of, turbulence, a little bit of turbulence, like if you're on an airplane, until you get to that place, but it'll be worth it. Because you already know you're struggling when you're out of line. Your marriages are going to struggle when you do not have your alignment right. You know that already. Oh, but I have to do this and I have to do that because he will give it back to him. Men, take it back. Not like take it back, but own it. It's yours. Take what's supposed to be yours and do it. Take that burden, take that responsibility. The biggest problem in this world, in the fleshly, earthly world right now, is we have the men and the women completely out of whack and out of sync and where they're supposed to be, because both, not one or the other, both are doing their thing wrong or poorly or inefficiently and ineffective, whatever it is. They're not doing a great job in their roles. And you can do, I'm telling you, he called you because you can do it. You can do it better, you can do it right, you can get there. You can. He didn't call you knowing you would just struggle to the point of saying, throw your hands up and say, okay, I forget it, I give up. I'm just terrible at this. You'd never learn to walk if that were the case, because you were terrible at that, I promise you, at the beginning. Thankfully, gravity and your height were not too much of a problem. Nowadays, it's more, right? But when you're only about 1.5 feet tall, the ground's not that far, it's no big deal. You might even have a diaper on, pad you up a little bit. Okay? But we're past that. But we have to be willing to go through that growth. And ladies, you're going to have to be infinitely patient. Because if he hasn't been doing it, he's not going to do it great immediately. But he'll never do it great if you don't give him a chance and believe in him. Amen? All right, how's your mini sermon for the day? All right, who's next? Okay, on this side. Christian.
Okay, so in
Stand up, please.
chapter 1.
Stand up.
Chapter 1 and verse 41, it says, Then you answered me and said to me, We have sinned against Yahweh, we ourselves are going up, and we shall fight, as Yahweh our Elohim commanded us. And I found two things interesting. First, from just saying we have sinned against Yahweh, it looks like repentance, but it's very obvious that as you keep going, it's not. And I found that interesting. And then the other thing is how it says, then you answered. When I think of this, normally I think of it as a impulsive response, but it says you answered like together. So it must have been a lot of people talking together and coming to a conclusion. So I wonder how much time they took or how much of an emotional decision it was.
Okay, excellent verse to point to. Okay, so let's kind of deal with this for a second. When you apologize, there's a big problem for a lot of people. Some of you don't apologize because it's like, your tongue would snap off if you tried. But actually, I think it's worse, those of you that apologize in this form. They weren't sorry for what they did. They were sorry for receiving consequences, trying to mitigate the consequences. Okay? Which is why anybody comes to apologize to me, I always ask them, what are you apologizing for? When my children were put into a punishment, a timeout, or whatever I put them in, when they were done in that time, I bring them over, sit them on my lap, have them face me face to face, and say, okay, do you understand why you were here? Well, actually, I start off with, are you sorry? Yes. Well, what are you sorry for? What did you do? Why are you here? They needed to be able to articulate. Because they're sorry, because they don't want to be in that punishment. They didn't like the consequence, the result. But are they actually apologizing or sorry for what they did? Do they feel regret for what they did? Do they understand the cause and effect relationship? Clearly, the Israelites that were saying this in 41 did not. They were absolutely not excited about the fact that Yahweh said, forget it, you're done, go that way. Oh, no, we're sorry, we get it. We're sorry now. But wait a minute, but he said, don't go. He said, go that way. See, if you were apologizing, you say, I'm sorry, we're listening now, we're packing our bags, we're ready to go. Okay? But that's not what they did. So that's something you can incorporate in your life. Be really careful. This may sound a little weird. Don't apologize unless you're going to be able to own and apologize for actually what you did. Don't apologize just to make all of you who are white, the color, the color code white, you would apologize just to smooth things over if you would apologize. We just want peace. No, you have to apologize to own something. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm not sorry just that we're fighting. I'm not just sorry that we're upset with each other. You're sorry about that too. And I've had to say to people, look, I appreciate that you're sorry that this is all, but I said, but are you actually sorry for what you did? Are you apologizing for the action that caused the problem? In other words, are you taking ownership? There is no ownership in verse 41. That's the problem that's going on here. Okay, and misery loves company, and people had a little pity party. And you saw, if you remember when this all happened in the book of Numbers, they all started whining and grumbling and talking to each other and panicking and stirring up everybody so that the crowd started to be against Moses and against the leadership. They were all listening to the wrong people. And so you see this playing out in summary here in Deuteronomy. And he said, look, yeah, you went over and said, yeah, we sinned against you, Yahweh. Yeah, but what sin? What did you do? So we're going to break this. We were sinful because we didn't listen to you, and we're going to go ahead and apologize so that we're going to continue to not listen to you. Okay? Sometimes children do this. You tell them not to do something. They went and did it. Okay? You told them to do something. They didn't do it. You go to punishment. They're like, okay, I'm going to go do it now. I'm going to do it. I said, no, it's too late. Now I don't want you to do it. I already took care of it, or whatever it is. Happens a lot. I like their enthusiasm, but I want them to own. We talked about this yesterday. Your best growth tool is ownership. Okay? Don't own your ability to figure out the calendar. Don't own your ability to figure out all the Torah. Own what you do. Own your choices. I'm not saying you need to own your authority over everything. Own your decisions. Okay? What you're responsible for. That you need to own. All right, Amen. Who's next? Okay, on this side, Mercy.
Thank you, Rabbi. I have a comment and I also have a question. If we could just go back to what we were talking about in verse 9 and 12. First, I want to say that in my entire life, with everything that I've gone through, with everything that I've accomplished and all the good, all the bad, that I have never truly understood what it meant to submit until I came under your leadership. And I have never felt safer since doing that, even though I don't currently live in Tennessee. I just have to say that it's because of all that I've learned from you and what I've seen from you. So thank you very much that you've taught me how to submit myself, even if I don't agree. So I thank
Amen.
you. My question is, if Moses submitted to Jethro, who was his father-in-law, who was clearly a Midianite priest, but in Psalms 1, it talks about blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. So how do you balance being able to submit to someone who may not necessarily be either on the walk that you're on or may not be submitting to the Elohim that you're submitting to by still garnering from them their wisdom, their experiences, but yet being able to, have that in the balance. You know what I mean?
Okay, excellent question, because I guess I wasn't. Again, this is why I like the Q&A part. That's why I started doing this many years ago. After teaching, I would open the microphone up, because just because I say something doesn't mean that I was clear enough or didn't leave something a little confused, and then questions come up. Okay, so When I was talking about Yithro with Moses, it wasn't a submission thing necessarily. It was a relationship, and in the relationship, he was willing to accept wisdom. You can go read any religious books, any religious sect, any leaders, any of the elders of any community that go back whatever thousands of years, and you can find wisdom. Wisdom is not like we have the whole lock on wisdom here and there's no wisdom anywhere else. But it's not the same as submitting. So when it says, do not sit in the council, Yithro, when he talked to him, Moses said, okay, that makes sense, I get it. It's not like he said, listen, you need to do what I say, I'm your father-in-law. So it wasn't that level of submission. But simply, his father came over and said, hey, Moses, come on, you can't do this. I'm older than you, I've got more experience. I'm going to give you some wisdom. Give yourself some help, appoint some people, okay? And so you should be able to receive wisdom for wherever it comes from, but you gauge it against your measuring stick, which is Torah. And so that, and sometimes it's not even a Torah issue. It wasn't a Torah issue for an elder to come up to somebody and say, excuse me, but I'm watching you. You're overwhelmed. You cannot keep this up. It wasn't a Torah issue. So sitting in the council of the ungodly is a totally different thing. Okay, getting counsel. You should not just be going to the world for counsel and seeking counsel, because it's more like the idea of in the Psalm where it talks about in other places, seeking counsel. This is someone with a relationship with you who sees you and says, I happen to notice that you're really struggling with some of your health issues, and that was your 4th donut in a row. You may not want to have that many, okay? Or you're chugging, soda, some sort of, those kind of terrible drinks, by the gallon. Or somebody might see that, okay? Or they may notice the way you drive or some other thing, and it's just helping you wisdom. I have a relationship with you, and I notice that you're doing something that's probably not the wisest thing to do. Okay? Good question. Okay. Over here, Ken can have it next. Oh, you got someone else? Okay, Ken, just wait. We're going to alternate here. Okay, Rob, go ahead.
Okay, yes, sir. Just going on into that 12 and then all the way down to 18, and kind of what you're just saying was, okay, yeah, you can, if you have that relationship, it still takes the person that you're going to have the humbleness to receive it, because not necessarily, if you say something like, well, you shouldn't, I seen you eating that donut, you shouldn't be eating that, if that person says, well, you mind your own business, I'm still going to do what I'm going to do, it
Right.
takes some humbleness. And then also on down through there's a lot in this. I just, I unpackaged even more, was, it says that, you pick the people, that you chose the wise men that were known, which we know you always say is there's a relationship with, the people, and kind of like you are like picking our leadership team that we meet with every month, that you see that in us that are a part of it, we're already doing it, but, and not necessarily, might be doing it right, but we still have you as our covering too. And then on down to 17 is, they have to have that, what you say is tamim, the integrity to judge rightly and not show favoritism and stuff. And then once Moshe did all of that, then he was, he went, he just showed another example of submission is, he was told, Yahweh told him what to do, how to pick them. He done it. And then he was told what to do after he picked them in, so it wasn't, this is what you're going to tell them first, is you pick them in, let them be known, and then he was told what to do and how to go from there. So.
Okay, so let me continue to unpackage this. Bear in mind, verse 15, these are not men known to Moses. They were known to the people. So he knew if I'm going to put people in authority, the people needed to respect them in relationship to take guidance and correction and instruction from them. Of course, because people say, wow, he picked all these great guys, and then they went the wrong way. Well, they weren't his choice. They were the only choice he had at the time. I've had that problem in the leadership here. We've had over the years in ministry, I've put some people in positions because that was the only choices I had, because we didn't have any, we had to have somebody in those positions. It happens from time to time. So here, let's understand that these are wise men. respected by their tribes and the community, known by people, so that if they were to go up to you and say, hey, excuse me, knock that off, people say, okay, yeah, I get it. You have authority to do that. I respect you. He didn't randomly pick people he thought, and then people are like, well, I don't know you. How come you're in charge? They didn't even like Moses being in charge. They didn't know him. Okay? The only reason they respected him is because when he said things that Yahweh said would happen, it happened. They realized you must be actually hearing from Yahweh. He had signs and wonders to show, etc., to back up that. But for this case, he had to pick people that the people knew and respected. And of course, you see that didn't go very well. Not very well, meaning it was a wrong way for him to go. He didn't have a choice. It was the way it needed to go. But without discipleship, that was going to happen. So it was not a surprise, certainly not to Yahweh, but it was necessary. We have to try to unburden this. And after all, he got two good ones out of it. He got Joshua and Caleb. So, he got a few out of the whole deal. But it needed structure to try to implement this deal. And that was the important piece of that right there. I want to try to make sure we're getting some of the live streams in too. So let's make sure we're rotating those in. Do you have one there? Did you want to just do a... Okay, good. Okay, you said you didn't have any. Okay, on this side. And give everybody your name.
Hi, I'm John.
Hey, John.
Rabbi, I just want to say that I'm new in this. I've only been doing this for about 2 years now, not even, so I'm a babe in this. And I have
Wait, 2 years? You should have a website, YouTube channel, a blog, creating your own calendar. Come on, 2 years? I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. But the whole thing is that what we read was about vertical alignment and leadership. Through what you've just told me, you've helped heal a wound in my heart. Because my wife has always wanted me to be the priest of our home. Maybe that's the wrong way of putting it, but the head of our house. She does the finances. She does a lot of things. She's like the Proverbs 31 wife, but sometimes I feel like, I don't do enough. But from the very beginning, we've always talked about the Lord, even before we were married. And not even knowing it, we were keeping Torah. And eventually I went to a church that kept the Sabbath. And she went with me to that not because she kept the Sabbath, but she said she was under submission of her husband. And she learned through that how important the Sabbath was. And through being in submission to you as my rabbi, knowing that you're in submission to Abba, to Elohim, I've chosen to go through the mikvah today. And I wasn't, no, that's all to him. I wasn't asking her to do it. And she asked me this morning, she says, do you want me to go through that with you? And I said, that's your choice. But I had a smile on my face ear to ear because I didn't even pray and ask Father for, helping her find that way. But she did it. And I'm just proud to be part of this body and looking forward to learning more and learning more and learning more. That's all I have.
Amen, John. Thank you. Listen. The example there that you need to hear is that you can't want your husband to be what you're not willing to do your role to be. So once she decided that she wanted him to be the head, the priest of the house, then naturally she should be where he is, doing what he's doing. Wherever you go, I go. Whatever your people, my people. Just like you see with Ruth, okay? She needs to be that wife to him. And so if you want to, and again, if you really want to feel where you need to be and you want your wife to feel where she needs to be, she will be happiest if she knows you're under a covering. Okay? Having a priest in the home could be great or the worst possible thing if he's not covered. Because now you've got a guy flying solo. And that could get you in all kinds of ditches. Okay? You can go all over the place when you're flying solo. All right? That's one of the reasons why we have the leadership meetings every month. so that I can have accountability partners that I can run by things I'm planning to do, thinking of doing, whatever it is, and I have them all there to say, hold on, wait, is that maybe the best idea, whatever, if that comes up, out of the abundance of counsel. Okay, a lot of ministries don't have that. They put a bunch of yes men in there. They say, this is what we're doing. They go, yes, sir, and that's it. And we don't have that here. And so I want to just make sure we hear that. The other thing I want to bring up that John brought up is this. Leadership doesn't mean you have to do everything. It means that you should have authority over. So it's okay if your wife is better and good at doing the books. Let her do it. Wives, just make sure he knows what's going on so that he can have authority to say, this needs to be less, this needs to be more, we need to cut back here or spend, whatever it is. Make sure he is the decider. You are the implementer. If you are, in a functional way, better at that thing, there's no problem with that. Some of the ladies out there are fabulous at the bookkeeping. Okay, some guys are awful at it. That's great. Listen, I don't do everything that's going on here, but I'm aware of and have authority over everything that goes on here. Whether it's building something, setting something up, buying some things we need in the kitchen, in the feast site, on the website, those decisions still are mine. I'm doing almost none of it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? So men, the decisions must be yours. Do the things that you would like to do the things that you should do, but be okay. If she's good at it and that works for you, let her do it. But she has to make sure that you are making the decisions. And if you don't know how to do that, learn. If you're not sure, go up the line to the covering you have and say, I'm not good at this. How do I do this well? Because I want to step into that role. And then I can help you with that. And that's the way this structure is supposed to be. Okay, excellent. Who's on this side next? Okay, Ken?
Good morning. Thank you. I wanted to go back to discuss in chapter 1, verse 36 and 37.
Actually, no, hold on, because you reminded me just as an example of what we talked about. So Ken was here the very first night helping us set up the chairs. And Ken and Philip and a bunch of other people set the chairs up. I didn't set up any of the chairs, but I came in, approved, made sure they were facing the way I wanted them, that we can get the number in there. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't set the chairs up. Not because it's under me or something, but they were doing it, but I had 16 other things happening, but I came in here, checked, and said, okay, this is the way I want it, this is good, it's the decision, and then I trusted them to implement, okay? And so I just want to use that as an example of what I'm talking about, okay? But that freed me as the leader then to do 6 other things, knowing that that was under control. Okay, go ahead.
Got done.
Oh, the blue?
It got done.
Oh, yeah, and it got done right. You blues get the things done right.
Had to pat myself on the back.
Now, as long as the right matches what the red is thinking, then it's really good.
Amen. My question, verse 36 and 37. Both of these were important to me because we always talk about Caleb and Moshe. And this is the first occurrence that, well, we already know Caleb was one who survived in the wilderness, and it says, because he followed Yahweh completely. Verse 37 is a contrast that I'd like for you to answer in a way to help me understand this comparison, because this is also the first occurrence where, and Yahweh was enraged with me, and this comes up 2 or 3 more times between now and chapter 5. But Yahweh was enraged with me, being Moshe, for your sakes. That's my question. How with the idea that those that didn't survive were rebellious, and they didn't trust in the land, and they came back and they were fearful and they rebelled and said, we can't do it. I mean, it would be I think it's like a rebellion, I don't know. But Moshe, we sort of, I mean, I know what the reference is. The reference was that he wouldn't go into the land because he struck his staff instead of speaking to the rock, and that was enraging. So if you would, just what's the part about for your sakes? How does that fit into our understanding about how versus submission, rebellion, trust. You know,
Absolutely.
how does that fit in?
Absolutely, and this is one of the verses that I always talk about every year because it's an important verse, and we unpackage this every Torah portion when we go through Deuteronomy, so it's a good question. I'm glad we get to do it again. So it's in my notes, and I always try to see how many of my notes you guys click off and as we start hitting them and checking them off here. So let's unpackage this in two ways. One is, and it sort of fits into the discussion we just had about submission. A leadership person who's upset with you, okay, it's for the sake of those you are supposed to be leading as it goes down the chain. You're the husband. You come to counsel with me. You are not getting it done like you're supposed to. I may give you the right foot and give you a good sharp kick, and you're all upset. You think I'm picking on you. No, it's for your family's sake. Okay? So Yahweh did to Moses for two different reasons. One was, so Moses understood, you need to understand that they're going to follow you. You lose it, you don't do what I tell you, they're going to imitate you. It's the burden of responsibility is always higher up the chain. Now also for your sake, he said, for the people's sake was, if I let you go in after you rebelled, and I already told them they can't go in because they rebelled, what does that say? Am I now a respecter of persons? Am I now showing partiality? Am I now going against all the things I'm telling them? Okay? So you have two different levels to this. One is, and that's why, and by the way, it's in chapter 137, it's also in 326 and 421. And so you see in those different places where we see this, in verse 26 of chapter 3, it says, Yahweh was enraged with me for your sake and would not listen to me. And Yahweh said to me, enough of that, speak no more to me about this matter. Because Moses, like all of us in our flesh, were like, did he not have a decent excuse? They were driving him crazy. See, but excuses don't work. Yahweh said no. You also see, for the sake of us looking at it now, leadership should be understood is held to a higher standard. You can't go the other way. In the world, leadership gets away with more and does whatever they want, instead of understanding that leadership is held to a higher standard. That's critical understanding. So he's saying, look, Yahweh was enraged with me for your sake, for your benefit. Put it that way, so that you would benefit. If I didn't get him, if he wasn't going to stop me and say no and forget it, you don't get to do this, it would mess all of you up. Okay? So getting the boot from above was to the benefit of everybody else. Understand that. If you come to me, I may be pretty strong with you, especially you men. And you're going to have to toughen up and take it because you need whatever I give to you when it's at that point. And I don't just get that way with everybody all the time. But some of you need a swift kick. A wake-up call, sometimes it starts with the rear. Because the mind doesn't seem to work right unless you kick the end of it on the other side. But that's part of the problem. We've gotten very complacent and very fatalistic. Well, my life is my life, and it's this, and it sucks, and I can't do anything about it. Or, I'm excited, I got it one more day, I'm alive, I can do something to get where I need to go. You can live in the past, or you can live now. Of course, the past doesn't exist, so why would you want to live in it? It's information that hopefully is useful for now. And that which isn't, just let it go, right? We have own it, fix it, and release it. The past is the past. Release it, let it go. But some of you will come to me and be like, wow, man, Rabbi just beat me up. Instead of going, wow, I needed that. He spoke truth. Because it feels like beating up when it's really, that's not what it is. It's like, when are you going to get off your whatever and get this done? Okay? I've had to say to a few guys. I had a few guys who are, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm starting a business, and I'm going to make that. You guys are like all Ralph Cramden. You know who that is? The honeymooners. Just learn to do something other than driving a bus. Don't think you're going to find a little invention. Next thing you know, you're going to be a billionaire. It doesn't work that way. Real wealth comes from hard work. Okay? Like I told you the other night, Arnold was doing a speech. He said, well, listen, sleep faster. You got 18 hours of the day. I was listening to Tony Robbins doing a little thing. He says, look, you got to work your 8 hours and then go work your second shift. He said, I worked that second 8 hours to put my business together while I was working a regular job for 8 hours to build what I have. There's the 16 hours. Don't say I need to spend my time on this and I'm not paying my bills because I got this genius idea that's going to make us so wealthy that you've been working on for 20 years and it hasn't worked. I had some people who used to come here, don't come here anymore because I got in the wife wanted me to get in the husband's face, then I got in his face and then they quit. But I said to him, I said, you need to go get a job. Doing what? Anything is better than what you're making right now. Go start at McDonald's and then work your way to something else. Just do something. Oh, but it's beneath me. Beneath you? You're laying on the floor in your house playing video games or whatever you're doing. What do you mean beneath you? What could possibly be beneath you? You've already hit the bottom. You're not providing for your family. Go get it right. And so, yes, this is an example of that. Leadership should be able to come to you in a relational way and say, you want the answer, you want the truth, or you want me just to say, keep doing what you're doing, it's going to work someday. That's crazy. If you've been doing something, it doesn't work, and doing something that doesn't work, you might want to try and do something different. Right? And so and some of the single ladies who I cover, I've done the same thing, and I said, you're responsible for you. Go out there and get this done. Don't just sit back taking the government stuff or whatever, if that's not enough to live on. Well, the government stuff was never meant to be abundance for you. It was supposed to keep you from dying. So if you like living just this much over dying, that's your choice, I guess. Well, but if I work, then they'll take away some of my benefits. But you'll make more. Why do you care about the benefits? Take care of yourself. Now, some of you can't. I get that. But those of you who can, shame on you for not. You should be here doing as much as you can do in this flesh life. While you're in the physical body, do what you can do. There's plenty of time to have fun and plenty of time to play, but you need to get out there and get it done. And the more success you have in getting it done, the more actually time you will have eventually and the ability to enjoy it. Okay? I'm not talking about rich, I'm talking about wealth. What is wealth? Having enough money and enough time to enjoy the level of enjoyment you would like. And for everybody, that could be a very different level. It doesn't have to be a lot. But it may be that little stretch above where you are now to get you there. But that's how you have, some of you, wouldn't you like to come to a feast and know that you have more than you need? Because some of you still are struggling when you come because you can't. 2 tithes? 3 tithes? I called it in my teaching the first time, giving for beginners. And you're all freaking out trying to figure out how you're going to live off of, 80% instead of 100% or 70% on the 3rd and 6th years instead of 100%. Why is that a struggle? It's a struggle because somebody along the way never got you going to get it done. Oh, but it's so hard. I'm older now. I always tell the story about my friend's mother who decided she wanted to be an attorney. I don't think she started law school until she was in her 50s. Because I'm trying to think of how long ago it was and how old I thought she was at the time. You know how it is when you're young. Everybody seems old, right? But I was already in college. Okay, so she had and I'm trying to think about, or graduated college. Yeah, I'm thinking she had to be easily in her 50s and started law school. You can start any time to do anything. Oh, but it's going to take 5 years. Well, where are you going to be 5 years from now anyway? Are you planning to be around? Well, if you're planning to be around, you might want to do something to be where you want to be in 5 years. And get it done. You want to do entrepreneur, you want to do side hustle, then do that on the side. It's called a side hustle for a reason. It doesn't become the full deal until it makes more than your full deal. Oh, but it can. Don't convince me what it can. Okay, I've started more businesses than almost any of you. I know what it means to start them, have them work, have them not work, and all that kind of stuff. There's a reason why 4 out of 5 businesses don't make it through the first year, and then another 80% of those ones that made it through the first year don't make it through the first 5. That's not really good odds. So if you're depending on that to, make your money, if you're not having another job to pay your bills, you're messing the whole thing up. And then you come to me, you're going to get one of these enraged for your sakes. Your sake is for the people you are responsible for, your children, your wife, whatever. Why are you so mad at me, Rabbi? Because you're dropping the ball on all of them, and I need to tell you and get you to wake up. You've heard me the other day. We were talking about why do I get loud sometimes? Because that noise in your head has to be pushed aside by something louder. Because in the mind, you're still going, yeah, but I'm going to be a million. Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, you're so smart. You're so smart. Why are you not there yet? If you know so much, why are you not there yet? Why don't you listen to somebody who is there yet? Who started businesses, been successful, whatever. And it doesn't have to be me. Go find somebody who's there yet. Don't act like you're so smart if you haven't gotten there. Because even when you get there, you realize just how dumb you are and you still got more to learn. But you think you're smarter. That's why you need a covering to remind you. How many of you have a teenager that knows everything? Do they need a covering? Well, all of you are like teenagers that never grew out of teenager. You're just older. You're really old teenagers, okay? 18, 19, 38, 39, 40, okay? 51 teen, 52 teen, 53 teen. You laugh, but you need that t-shirt. You need to own it. You don't live in a place where opportunity does not abound. You can do anything and be anything in this country, period. There are places where that is not true. And it doesn't matter what your situation. Oh, but I'm old, I'm young, I'm fat, I'm skinny, I'm woman, I'm a man, I'm white, I'm black, I'm green, I'm purple, I'm this. Well, who cares? Every one of those things that you could say, somebody is doing it and having no problem doing it. Whatever it is. Oh, but you don't understand. Clearly, it's the other way around. You don't understand. Problem is, we don't recognize just how lazy we are. Oh, but I work hard. No, you do a lot of things, but do you do them in a way that actually will generate what it is you're looking to generate? Are you working hard or are you working smart, which is working hard and doing it towards a purpose in the right way with the right process and the right goal in mind? Okay? I can work really hard running that way. I can run and run and run really hard, but my house is that way. I'm never going to get there. Do you understand? But I could be working really hard to go home, but I'm going the wrong way. So you could be working. Don't tell me that when I call you lazy, oh, I worked, you have no idea. But what is it getting you? Are you putting it in the right places? Are you putting your effort behind the right vehicles? Or are you just spinning your wheels on a treadmill? Treadmill doesn't go anywhere. Just round and round and round. I don't know how you ended up with that mini sermon, but hopefully it was good. Let me finish my point by saying this. You don't know when he's coming back. You do not know if you have the rest of your life to live your life before he comes back. You need to work on what you need to work on, knowing he may not come back while you're still breathing. Don't count on, well, I'm sure he'll be back before. No, don't count on that. Live your life like he is not coming back in your life. Plan your life like he's not coming back in your life, but live it like he's coming tomorrow. Plan it like he's not coming back in your lifetime. Live it like he's coming tomorrow. Then you'll get somewhere. You can do this. He put you in that chair to hear this right now. You can do this. People pay a lot of money for speeches like that, for motivational guys like that. I'm not saying that to brag on me. I'm saying value what I just gave you. And you put that to use, and you'll be amazed at what you can generate. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, talk to me. I'll give you more people. I'll reference you people to go listen to. And by the way, almost all of it you can find free on YouTube. And by the way, you may think, oh, but you're the rabbi and you're this and that. And everything. I listen to this kind of stuff every day. Every day I'm finding somebody out there that's a life coaching, motivational guy, personal development, some sort of thing. Even though I've heard them over and over again, I may have heard the same thing, I'm always inputting that in my mind. Why? For myself and for your sakes. Every day. All right? I'm too ADD to read, so I've got Audible now. I wake up in the morning, and when I'm getting dressed and everything else, boom, I got my phone on, got the Audible playing, and I'm listening to something. And it's hard because it's not like listening to a novel. Most of the stuff I'm listening to, I'm thinking, I got to go write that down. Oh, I got to go write that down. It's a little bit tougher listen because it's things to do and things to process and how to do things, but I'm still, at least I'm putting it in and putting it in. If I got to listen to it 3, 4, 5 times, I'll listen to it 3, 4, 5 times. But what are you feeding your mind with? Well, I'm watching the news all day, and I'm all upset about the COVID and the presidency and the election and blah, 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 blah. Or you're all worried about trying to do your pet project of figuring out who the Nephilim are or what the calendar is or what. Meanwhile, you're broke and suffering and can't pay your bills. And whining about it. Well, that takes a lot of time. The whining, it does take a lot of time. And some of you are whining with a glass in front of you, too. You're whining. Okay. They'll usually go together, actually. A dangerous combination. All right. Who was next? I forgot where we were at. Okay, back there.
If we could for a second go back to verse 13, because structure is new to me as well. And you talked about how these men were known to their tribes. And I know we live in a culture where everything's by the people. I don't know how well that's working out. But structure is top down.
Correct. Okay, structure's top down, and that's why you must understand, and I know we talk about this till we are ready to be, hopefully, either getting it or mind numb, but, Ephesians, where Paul's talking about the fivefold ministry in Ephesians 4, you need to understand that your job is to find that good, appropriate, safe structure. It is not the structure's job to impose itself on you. And then you voluntarily submit under the structure. This is not a cult. We don't go and involve ourselves. I've had lots of people come up to me and say, Rabbi, you are my teacher. I want to submit under you. How does that look? I say, very simple. Whatever you just did is that if you need me, you call me. I'm not calling you. I'm not going to come up to you and check on what you're doing. Structure is available to you to come to, right? The structure was here for the pressures and strife and everything. What was going on? Moses had all these people coming, asking questions, and Jethro said, you can't answer everybody's questions yourself. You need help. But he didn't say, go out there into the groups and go ahead and impose yourself and see what everybody's doing and correct everybody. And actually there's questions you'll ask me that I'm going to say, that's really not for me to step into, but I might give you some thoughts on how to approach it. Some of you know what I'm talking about. And by the way, I appreciate what Mercy said, because Mercy will tell you she didn't always like some of the things I said, but she was willing to take it and see later and came back and say, okay, I'm learning. It played out just like you said, okay? And it's not because I'm so smart. And I've said this before. I have right answers because you need them. And so he'll give me them for you, not because I'm so smart. A lot of times those answers don't come till you ask the question. So as you're asking for guidance, don't think for a second that I think I'm the genius with all the answers. I just know I'm the vessel willing to stand there and say whatever he tells me to say at that moment for you. And I trust those answers are right because it's for you. It's not to impress you with me. Does that make sense? And so you need to know that your leadership is right most of the time. And that's because you need them to be, not because they're so smart. It's not a pride and ego thing. My children know that. They've come to the point where they've learned, why don't we just listen and trust Daddy? He's always right. But I'm not right just because of me. I'm right because they need me to be right. Okay? And so I live my life submittedly to him, knowing that I am needed to be right. People need me to be right. You understand? I know that. So then it's your job to find that leadership and then submit under it, okay? And then this leadership will then pick by observation and seeing people's walk in their lives and interacting with them, those that we will then anoint and appoint into other leadership positions, okay? And not just having you guys select who you want and vote on it or something, okay? All right, amen. Where's the mic? Okay, go ahead. And you give your name.
I'm Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Deuteronomy 137, I just wanted to ask if another way to kind of view it. Like my first thought when we were reading it was, hey, Moshe didn't take his blame. And then I started thinking about it too, as maybe he was trying to remind the people that what your actions are and what you do can be a stumbling block, not just to other people, but possibly leadership too. And so we should not just think of ourselves, but we should think about how it's going to affect other people.
Absolutely. Look, I'm sure there is a possibility, absolutely, that Moses, who we should all understand, one of the things we can see from Scripture, had an anger problem. So he probably was still burning over the choice here. But he wasn't mad at Yahweh, he was mad at himself. Okay? He knew what he did. And it still was burning him that he just didn't have enough discipline at that moment. As strong a man as he was, we talked about this yesterday, right? He had that weak moment. In weakness, he lost his temper. It takes strength to hold that temper in. I understand him completely. That's my weakness more than anything else, is I can get upset. And I can relate to what he's struggling with. But I can also understand that, he wanted to go in. He absolutely, and he's like, I did all this stuff, but he's not doing what they did when Yahweh said, well, okay, you blew it, leave. He's like, ugh. So he's now arguing with Yahweh, isn't there any way we can I want to just, And Yahweh's like, don't ask me to do something that undermines everything I'm developing here. And that's when he said, enough of that. We're done with this conversation. Because Moses was still pleading his case. By the way, that's the same with you guys. If you come to leadership, your children, if they come to you, at some point you have to say, enough. I said what I said. It is what it is. See, otherwise your children, you wonder why your children act the way they do? Because all of you who have this problem, you're all liars. You tell your children, if you do that, you're punished for whatever. And then an hour later, you give them back whatever it is. You've shown them that your word means nothing. Yahweh's here saying, never ask me to change my word. That's why he was enraged. Don't ask me to change my word. I made a decision. My right rulings stand forever, and they're always right. You messed up, you don't get to go in. That's the way it works. Don't argue with me. And he wanted them to know, and it's not just for you, it's for their sake. Because if I give in to you, it ruins the whole thing. It undermines everything. And so that's important. Look, we had this problem last night, and maybe the night before, when we're talking about the meals inside. We've got people, and I understand, who really would have liked to have been in there and bring their own food because they wanted to be where everybody was and where all the fellowship was. There just wasn't room. The only way we could do it is those that paid for the meals to be in that room. Now, I could have maybe there was an empty 2 seats somewhere. Oh, but how does that now play with everybody else that didn't get those 2 seats? Because people came to me and said, well, we do have a few seats. I said, yeah, but then if we do that, and the word goes around, oh, but it won't. Oh, yes, it will. Have you not been in Israel very long? The only thing faster than the speed of light is the speed of gossip. Oh, that'll get around. Well, how come you let those guys in? Well, we're local here. Why did you let us on? Well, listen, rules are rules, period. And I told the staff, I'm sorry. I know people are upset. Don't break the rule. Oh, well, that's so unloving. No, it isn't. It is very loving to teach you to obey, follow, and submit to rules, instructions, guidelines. And I'm not breaking them for anybody. And so don't ask me to. And if you ask me to, I'll just be like, I'm sorry, but I can't do it. If I do it for you, I got to do it for everybody. Some of you will come for benevolent help sometimes. And depending on the type of benevolence, you may get an answer from me saying, this is the kind of thing that really doesn't fit into the general benevolence needs that we would normally work with. And if I do it for you, I have to do it for everybody. So you will get the kind of benevolence that we would do for everybody. You see what I'm saying? Okay, good. All right, who's next? Okay, Greg?
Thanks, Rabbi. Chapter 1, verse 32.
By the way, we do have 5 other chapters to go down.
I know. I'm going to make it quick.
Well, listen. We only have 20 minutes anyway, but go ahead. Yeah, it goes fast, doesn't it?
Yeah. Verse 32, yet in this matter you are putting no trust in Yahweh your Elohim. And that's a simple, short verse, but I was connecting it with yesterday when in Psalm 119.
Keep it right up at your mouth.
113 talks about, I have hated doubting thoughts. And you talked about replacing those with trust thoughts and faith thoughts. And just those two things connecting, and the fact that it talks about yet in this matter, I reversed and scanned backwards to find out what exact matter is it talking about. And it was in verse 23, it says, and the matter was good in my eyes. So was that matter talking about going into the land and possessing it. And the doubt is what keeps us from possessing what we need to possess, it seems.
Amen. All right, so let me expound on that. The key phrase for you in your walk is the phrase, yet in this matter. In other words, you think, oh, I trust him. Sure, in lots of matters you do. But you're supposed to trust him with full emunah in all things. And so you have to start asking the question, what things does this apply to you in? Where is the matter you are not trusting him in? Because he says, oh yes, we brought you out of Egypt, and he brought you and did all these things and everything else. But then he said, but yet in this matter, you are putting no trust in Yahweh your Elohim. Where are those areas? Examine yourself for those areas. That is one of the verses I had in here for sure to talk about. Good play on that. Okay, actually most of everything we're doing good. Also the idea that all throughout this section that you guys have all been hitting on, where is the biggest problem? Or what's the biggest obvious symptom of the problem? The rebellion, which comes from, you'll see it in the form of grumbling. Okay, the whining, the complaining, that's always connected with the rebellion. You whine and complain. If you haven't done it yet, you're really thinking about doing something rebellious because you're not happy. So catch that as a really important symptom that hopefully happens before so that you can catch yourself. A lot of you will continue to rumble and grumble and whine and complain as you're rebelling as well. Tell me what to do. I'm not going to do that. I can't. I want to do that. Whatever. Just, that grumbling, whining. Who does he think he is? Blah, blah, blah. All right? Rebellion is connected with that. Catch yourself when you're whining, complaining, and grumbling. Because you'll see this all throughout. When you read about all that rebellion stuff, there's a lot of whining and complaining and grumbling going on. Okay, who's next?
Live stream.
Live stream.
Okay, are we ready to go to chapter 2?
Sure.
Okay, from Justin, says chapter 2, verse 3.
It's about time.
Is chapter 2, verse 3 showing Father's mercy on us as we tend to repeat things over and over, round and round, until he directs us to the correct path towards him and his promises?
No. It's actually going to be a little bit deeper thing than that. Yes, that's true. I mean, yes, we go round and round and round. But remember what he's talking about here. You have gone around this mountain. What is this mountain? Mount Sinai where they're studying and they're learning Torah and they're being taught. So what he's trying to say is, look, this is just the first level. You're understanding, you're getting information. You can't apply this around this mountain. You're going to have to go from the mountain and start doing these things. All right? So this is for all of you that are studying yourself into oblivion and not doing any of it because I'm not going to do this till I fully understand it, and I have to understand it before I can do it. And I've had people say this all the time. Well, why aren't you wearing your seat? Well, until I understand it. Why aren't you tithing? Well, I don't understand until I... Where does he say you have to understand it before you do it? I don't mean understand it like what to do, when, how. I mean understand why and the whole motivation. That's what people will say. So he's saying, look, you've gone around this mountain long enough. This is the mountain of receiving instruction. There's your metaphor. Now I want you to go away from the mountain and walk it out. Okay? So yes, the person who said, well, the metaphor of just spinning your wheels and going around in circles, yes, that is the metaphor, but he's applying it specifically to something you would think is very justifiable and very scholarly. I'm here studying, and that's... But some of you are studying and your family's just completely a mess. Your relationship with your wife or your husband's completely a mess. Your children are a disaster. Your career, I'm studying 5 hours a day. This is meant to be studied and walked. Balance that out. Okay? You can't just go around the mountain all day. Does it make sense? That's what he's trying to say. So that's one of my verses that I had for this chapter. Okay? Actually, in chapter 1 and verse 6, it actually has the words that you have dwelt long enough. Okay? In other words, you've set your camp and you've pitched your tent in study mode. I'm living right here. But he doesn't want you to live there. He wants you to live it out. Which means you have to get out of your tent and move. Interact with the world, interact with people, interact with him. It's loving him and loving each other. Go out there and walk this out. Okay? Because some of you get locked into, oh no, I just studying all day. What's your job doing? I don't know. How's your family doing? I don't know. I got to get this right. Well, learn it and do it. Learn it, do it. Learn it, do it. Learn it, do it. Okay? You're not going to really understand it and really get that right till you do it. As you do it, you realize, well, that wasn't exactly the way he meant it probably, and I'm going to have to adjust and tweak the deal a little bit here and there. But you got to start doing it. Okay? Okay, you know how they say, don't just do something, stand there, or however they want to say it, don't just stand there, do something. Okay, or ready, aim, fire. How about ready, fire, aim? Get ready, learn, fire. Go do something. Okay, that didn't hit exactly where I wanted to. Now aim. You guys are all sitting there adjusting the sights and getting the scope right and messing with your aim and all that stuff, and you'll sit there forever. No, you're going to have to shoot first to see if it hits the target. Now you can go ahead and adjust the whole deal. Ready, fire, aim. Okay? Because the ready already knows where the target is. When I say aim, look, when you aim, you're not like looking, well, wonder where I'm going to aim. No, you already know where the target is. Now you're trying to focus on just one spot on that target. That's what we're talking about with aim. So I'm not talking about just shoot randomly. You're ready, which means you have your tools that you need and you're facing the target. You're ready. Now you're going to aim exactly where you want to hit the target. So you shoot, it doesn't hit exactly. So you adjust your aim, you do it again. Okay? Next question. Go ahead, got another one?
Yeah, Gerardo Rivera, from Jessica, chapter 2, verses 14 through 17. Were the men of battle unrepentant for 40 years? Is this an example of how our own stiff necks and unrepentant hearts can lead to our own destruction?
Okay, so we got to balance the two things out as far as, I'm sure a lot of them or some of them were repentant. Just because they were repentant, though, you got to remember, doesn't mean that the consequence was now taken away. A lot of you have lived some lives in a way where there's still consequences. You are suffering of dumb things you did. You're repentant of it, but the consequences are still there. Okay? So don't feel necessarily that they did not repent over the 40 years. There's a lot they didn't learn. Some of them did, some of them, it's always a mixed multitude. So some will get it, some won't get it, some get a little more than others. But the consequence was not going to change. All those that he said would die in the wilderness, died in the wilderness. A lot of them, I'm sure, understood, got the message, and will be fine when it comes to the kingdom. They'll have learned their lesson. The same with Moses, right? Moses messed up. He repented. He'll be fine. But he still didn't get to go in. The consequence was still there. Okay, so hopefully that answered that question. Next. Over where? Okay, go ahead. Ati.
I think my question was answered, but I just wanted to make sure I understood chapter 2, verse 7. It was saying, these 40 years Yahweh your Elohim has been with you, you have not lacked any matter. And again, this might have been answered with the last question that was asked, but I was wondering, I was like, well, the Israelites didn't lack anything. And was Abba talking specifically for those who actually did right? Because, throughout the 40 years, there was a lot that was going on with the idols and the disobeying. But with this specific verse, he was, I guess I'm asking, like, he was talking to those that were righteous and kept Torah. And is this just a reminder that, no matter, I guess, throughout life, as long as we follow Torah and do as Abba says, that we're not going to lack anything? Is that a good understanding, or am I kind of over?
Okay, it's partial. You're right in the right area. We have to define the term when he says any matter. He didn't lack any matter. In other words, like in the Deuteronomy 8, when we talk about the Deuteronomy 8:2, that he walked you through the wilderness, etc., then it says, and he fed you with manna, and your shoes didn't wear out, your clothing. He provided what they needed. This isn't that Christianity version of health, wealth, gospel, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you won't lack anything. No, you won't lack anything that you needed. You have shelter, you have food. And all of us, I think, can say we have shelter, we have food, we have clothing. So we don't lack any necessity. Of course, we have a problem, human beings, we haven't talked about this week yet, but, with the what I call the needs, wants disconnect. We think everything we want is a need. He's saying to them, no, you did not lack anything you needed. And that's what the point there, okay? Did that clarify it? All right, next question on this side. We got a hand over here. I guess we have two hands over here. Okay. You can go first.
I have a question.
Okay.
We were speaking about forgiveness, and Adonai is forgive for us, but we have a consequences. And Adonai can, if we ask Adonai about forgive for us for a cancer and to help out for our consequences, can we do that or not? That's a question.
Yes, you got to remember that there's a difference between you having a natural consequence of something that you do or you having a Elohim imposed consequence. All right? He imposed that consequence on them in the desert. You may do something dumb and it messes with your health, and now that's a consequence of some dumb decisions, and you pray for healing and he can mitigate those consequences. That's not the same thing as him saying, because you rebelled, all of you are going to die in the desert, you're not going in. That he's not going to, no matter what you pray, he's not taking that away. But there's other things we do in life, foolish things financially and with our health and other things like that, that yes, you can pray, you can repent, you can be forgiven, and he may, not always, he may mitigate those consequences. He may intervene on your behalf on those consequences. Amen? Okay. You had a comment or question?
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi.
Good to see you today.
You got to put that mic almost in your mouth. There you go.
One taste very
It just
good.
see how it disappears real quickly and then gets really loud. You got to get it right up close.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I'm in chapter 5. I skip forward, and
That's
it
okay.
says,
5 is good.
verse 16: respect your father and your mother as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, so that your days are prolonged, and so that it is well with you on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you.
Man, that sounds so familiar. Oh, that's the 5th commandment. Okay, go ahead.
It is the 5th commandment. What if your parents are really toxic?
Okay, let's explain. This is a good question. Let's explain the fifth commandment. All right? And by the way, I'm noticing in Christianity now, a lot of them are putting out all kinds of different lists, and the commandments are very messed up. Okay, the fourth one's missing. It's over something else. I mean, they're just readjusting all kinds of things. All right, so the fifth commandment about honoring mother and father. Okay, honoring mother and father. What is that all about? Okay, it has to do with respect and honor as opposed to disrespect and shame. It is not about the obedience or the submission because they happen to be your parents. If your parents are not in the walk, if your parents are toxic, as you said, just make sure that when you interact with them, you are doing it in a respectful manner. They're acting toxically, and you say, Mom or Dad, whatever, you say, I don't want to do this. This is not good for me. It's not good for us. I don't want to be disrespectful, but we're going to need to just stop this right here. Or if they keep calling and say, look, if you're going to keep doing this, I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm not going to take your phone calls. Okay? It's disrespectful when you start screaming at them and cursing at them and calling them names and whatever. Do you understand what I'm saying? Be respectful in your maintaining a boundary. Be respectful in your interacting with them. See, they will say to you, oh, you're not honoring your mother and father because I told you to do something, you didn't do it. That's not ever what the verse meant. Okay? The verse did not put you in a permanent submission to your parents. You were expected to leave mother and father. But they deserve, as your parents, a level of respect. As long as they are alive, you owe them that respect. As a matter of fact, you even owe them that respect after they go. Don't talk badly about them after they go. Respect them. Just say, yes, Mom and Dad were hard. There was a tough deal there. It was a challenge, but that was my mother, that was my father. Okay? Find a way to be respectful, even if it means cutting them off completely. You know, because maybe they're so disrespectful and so toxic, you need to say to them, I would love to have a relationship with you, but if this is what you're going to do every time I talk to you, I'm sorry, but this is not going to be possible. We're not going to be able to do this. When you're ready to not do this, I'm here. All right? And you can do that in a respectful tone of voice and be respectful. Does that answer your question? Okay. That's a very common question, by the way, so I'm glad you asked it. Comes up a lot. Okay, Michelle?
In verse 24, when it says, we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire, I was connecting that with, if we listen to our leaders, like you're my rabbi, so I'm listening to your voice. You're following his voice. So that's the structure also, right? Is that correct?
Yes, correctly.
That's all I needed to
Okay, but listen to that's in verse 24 of chapter 5. Look, he's saying, if you go back to the baptism of fire teaching, I'm sure we covered this, okay? You need to be able to hear his voice from out of fire, out of your trials, out of your situations, out of your struggles. It's a great metaphor that you still need to be able to hear his voice in those moments, especially in those moments. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you thought baptism of fire had to do with, some sort of charismatic thing, it's not. Listen to the teaching. All right? We have the baptism of water, baptism of spirit, and baptism of fire. None of them is what the church has taught you. Well, maybe water to some degree they might have taught you has to do with washing yourself clean and getting a fresh start. Of course, we know about the watering of the word. So that's where you're learning and you're getting some understanding. Then you're getting filled with the Ruach, which is going to bring to remembrance all these things that you need so that you're able to have that teacher. And then you're going to get fire to see how far you've done with what you've learned. Guess what? Then you're going to have to go and get washed clean again because you've messed up. And then you're going to go ahead and learn some more and have the teacher work with you. And then you're going to go forward and get fire again. It's the purification cycle. Okay? It's a sanctification, purification, whatever you want, all those words they love to use. Well, is that sanctification or is that disification or thatification or the? I'm like, just do what he says. Stop worrying about all that stuff. These big words. Now I got to add more to my new lexicon we're putting out for all of you guys. All right? It's a process for you to go from what you are to what he is. Okay? So in the water, what are you doing? You're burying the old you, which is not him. Then you're, with the Ruach, you're learning how to be him. Then you're going to try and do some things to be like him. Then you're going to have some fire to see if that actually is something you're just playing with, or is it really who you are now. Then you're going to go back, bury some more, learn some more, go out and practice some more. It's the cycle of life. Nothing charismatic about it. Okay? But they don't understand any of that stuff, so they got to teach you what they want to teach you. It is what it is. All right, let's see. I want to see how much more time we got here. Well, considering we're on my schedule, I guess it doesn't matter. Because after all we're going to do now is run off to a picnic. All right, one more question. See, we got another one. Okay, back here. Okay, Sierra.
For Deuteronomy 4:29, what are some practical ways we can make sure that we're seeking with all of our heart?
Okay, good question. Actually, chapter 4 has got a ton of really good stuff, but we didn't have time to get through that. One of these years, I'm just going to schedule us to just read in the morning and then spend the whole day talking about it. Okay? Hold on, wait, I got the schedule here. I think we actually have, hold on. On Tuesday, tell you what, on Tuesday, I've got Midrashes with me in the afternoon, so whatever we didn't cover, we can cover on Tuesday. I've got the whole afternoon, 3 hours blocked out for that, okay? So we can do that. Okay, so verse 29, you have to understand, is coming in a section, this is in chapter 4, coming in a section where you are understanding that you're in a exile place. You've been scattered. You're where you are because either you or our forefathers have messed up. But in your own life, it's a metaphor for the same thing. You've been in a place now of like not understanding the truth, etc. And he says, but from that place of exile, of suffering, of disconnect, of separation, this is when he puts that little hole in your delusion bubble, wakes you up, and then you realize either something's wrong or something's missing or both. And that's when you start to seek the answers you need. You may not realize you're seeking Yahweh, your Elohim, at that moment, but you start seeking, and then you realize later that that's actually what you were seeking. Now, when it talks about doing it with all your heart and with all your being, this is the battle that we all face. A divided heart. Our emotions are drawn in all kinds of different directions. He's saying you're going to have to get all of that focused on him. Because you want, you desire, you don't want, you don't like, you have preferences. That's what messes you all up. He says if you really want to seek him, once you realize that's what you're supposed to be seeking, you have to recognize that the reason that you were disconnected in the first place, maybe not you personally because you hadn't been called yet, but when you read the history all throughout scriptures, why do people get in trouble? When their heart is not all his. That's why they didn't go in the land. That's why they didn't do whatever they didn't do. Anytime you see disobedience and rebellion, because their heart was not all his. They had a divided heart. I would rather, I don't like, I want this, you said no, I'm going to do it anyway. He says, so from the place of recognition that you're not in his hands the way you need to be, you're not in covenant the way you're supposed to be, you're not in relationship, the metaphor being the land. Because he's saying that you will, in verse 27, he says, and Yahweh shall scatter you among the peoples. He says, okay, this is when you go ahead and do things that you shouldn't do in verse 25. He says, when you bring forth children and grow old and do corruptly. Now, all of us were doing corruptly, we just didn't even necessarily know it was corruptly. But now you recognize, you go, okay, I was here, and this is not where he is. And I need to go where he is. I need to change my life into where he is and live in that space. So I got to seek after him. Now, I'm not going to be able to live in that space correctly with a divided heart. If my heart is pulling me in other directions, I'm not going to end up in the right place. All right? So think of it this way. We talked about aiming at a target. So picture your typical bullseye, right? You've got a round circle with smaller circles all the way to the bullseye. The center of that bullseye is where Yeshua and Yahweh are. And if your heart is fully focused there, you might go ahead and eventually get your life to where it's aimed right at that bullseye. But guess what? Let's say, and we'll use like the compass. You have north, south, east, and west, okay? So let's say your heart is being pulled towards something that's east or north or whatever. Guess what? Your focus is not going to be dead centered on that bullseye. When you shoot, you're going to miss. Because you're distractedly wanting and looking in another direction. You have to look only at the center of that bullseye and aim at that bullseye. But wait, there's something over on the east or the west or the south, whatever. There's something over on the, don't turn left, don't turn right. There's something drawing your attention because your heart is still being pulled. Did that answer the question, hopefully? Okay? All right. What do you, okay, I got that, thank you. All right, I think that's going to cover it. You got one more?
One announcement about the marketplace.
Okay.
They're saying they'll be open for the next hour, so if you want to get a T-shirt for the group photo at the lake, you can go do it now.
Okay, so the marketplace will stay open for the next hour. I would expect that it's 12:30. You know, we should all be there, settled in, and doing whatever we're going to be doing as far as eating and everything by 1:30, 2 o'clock. So it should be time for everybody to get whatever you need to get done here before going. All right, we have directions on the table over here. Okay, next to the offering box, there should be direction sheets if you need one. It's very easy to get there. Just follow the directions. It'll take you literally right into the parking lot. Your GPS will not take you right into the parking lot. Just look at the 4 or 5 easy steps on the directions. Okay, hold on. Shh. Okay, I don't know if the stream stopped, but we were going to close in prayer, and we're all getting up and going. I was just giving some quick announcements. Shh. Okay, I need somebody to pray. All right, go ahead, Rob. You got a mic. Okay, you can all stand.
Okay. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to come together on this first day of our reading. Thank you for all the information that we got. And thank you for our rabbi and his guidance, his leadership. Father, just watch over us as we go out and enjoy the rest of our day at the picnic, enjoy our company, and then we come back together tonight for more, just more understanding, more learning, more, just feed us, Father, and in Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Yes, again, at 9 o'clock, we'll be in here again. Any questions you didn't get answered now, bring them back tonight. Okay, just also a reminder that once we close the marketplace, the building and all of the property is going to be on shutdown, lockdown. We expect everybody to be off premises and over at the picnic. Do people know to see you? Okay.